Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Death Ray here. It's another Sunday, so we're getting together to catch up on what's been going on with the channel this last week, what we've got coming up, and also covering a little bit of movie news. It seems like horror fans every week are getting a little bit of something. So yeah, let's jump right into it here. Hope everyone's having a great Memorial Day weekend so far, and that you're able to have time off from work. I would imagine people are barbecuing and all that kind of great stuff all throughout the weekend. Hopefully tomorrow you're getting in a little bit of that as well. Yeah, it's been a pretty chill weekend so far for me. Kate flew out on Wednesday morning to go visit her family up in Portland, Oregon. So she's out there going on hikes and eating all sorts of awesome food because her parents are chefs and they make amazing food. So I bet she's having a great time. I've heard it's in the 60s and cloudy most of the time, which is actually pretty nice when you're living in Phoenix. But today's a sunny, nice day. So she's going on a hike with her brother. That should be a pretty awesome time. And yeah, really appreciate you guys jumping in with me. Just want to say what's up to everyone in the chat here. So let's see who we got going here. We've got Antonis Andriotis in the chat. What's happening, Antonis? How are you doing, man? And then, yeah, he's mentioning the poll here, guys. We've got a poll. I'll talk about that here in a sec, just after I say what's up to everyone. So I'll go back to that one here. Gavin says, what's up, man? How's it going, Gavin? We got Gene Whitcomb in the chat. What's happening, Gene? How are you doing on this lovely weekend? And Gavin says today is his only day off for the next 2 weeks. Wow. Well, hopefully, Gavin, your employers take care of you financially and you've got a good job. What do you do for a living? And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to put on some chapstick here because just hopped out of the shower and I'm all dried up. I am all dried up. Nothing glamorous about putting on chapstick, huh? Driving through Cali, headed to Denver is what Cody Snyder says. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, Cody. It's always great to have you, man. Especially, whatever we can do to help those drives go by even quicker. So yeah, really appreciate the love, man. Appreciate that for sure. So yeah, guys, real quick before we really, hit the ground running with everything we're going to cover here today, there is a poll in the chat. So essentially what happened is I started a Patreon, link in the description below. And Gavin Mud Nelson here was the first of all of you guys to jump on there to be a patron. And then this last week Antonis signed up as well. And Antonis right away was like, hey man, can you review this movie? He wants me to review Bride of Chucky. So I actually just picked up the Chucky box set. I've seen all the movies in the series. I really love like the first 3 or 4. I mean, Child's Play 3, we'll see how I feel about it. But I really enjoyed Bride of Chucky. So Antonis was like, hey, will you review Bride of Chucky since I'm a patron? And I was like, well, that sounds great. I enjoy that movie. I'm going to watch it anyways, because as you guys know, in June, I will be doing a Child's Play franchise ranking. So it perfectly lined up. And I was like, well, since Gavin was, the first patron, I'm going to reach out and see what he wants me to review as a patron request. So he couldn't quite decide. So we've got a couple movies for you to pick from there. There is Intruder from 1989. Now that is like a Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell produced film. I think, is it Scott Spiegel that ended up directing that one? One of the guys that worked on the original Evil Dead with them. So one of their guys. And then and it looks like a supermarket slasher is what it looks like. It looks really fun. And then there's Mandy. God, is Mandy from, was it 2018 or 2019? I can't see the poll because I'm in StreamYard. But yeah, those are the 2 movies that Gavin really couldn't choose from. So as a really sweet gesture to, all the folks here in the chat and all the subscribers, he wanted to give everyone a chance to kind of make up his mind for him because he just didn't want to decide either way. So yeah, guys, please feel free to vote in that poll. I'll go ahead and close it at the end of the stream here, and we'll see what what you guys have decided for my fate. So yeah, that's the first order of business, I suppose. And I'm just going to catch up, see who else is happening here. Where Nomad has gone before says, hey, Davey, so glad to see you on for this weekend. Absolutely, Greg. Yeah, try to jump on every Sunday. I know it's a busy day for, a whole bunch of streamers getting on. There for a while, I was doing like a 4 p.m. my time, so like a 7 p.m. Eastern stream. And, it was kind of awkward to have it sort of happen right in the middle of the day on a Sunday. Kind of restricted like what I can do right before going back to work for the work week. So, I figured why not just hop on at like 1 p.m. Eastern, just knock it out in the morning for me, and then kind of frees up my time to, get to some other things around the house or whatever. So yeah, really appreciate you showing up there, Greg. Really appreciate that. Let's see here. Oh, mud. No, that's too bad. I didn't know that. I didn't know you could do that. You can actually do that. I have no idea. Happy birthday to Peter Cushing is what Cody Snyder says. Absolutely. Yeah, Peter Cushing, man, what a performer. I mean, we all know him from Jaws, of course, but there's seems like a dozen or more Hammer films, that Peter Cushing was in. What a look for an actor. That those angular features are just so, there's just something iconic about his face. Some actors, some performers just have that in them. It's really cool to see. Gavin says, I work at a little store, nothing crazy, but I just became an assistant manager, so hours are crazy. That's how they get you. They're like, hey, we'll put you on salary. You're going to make a little bit more money, but you're probably going to be working 1.5 times the hours that you used to work, maybe even a little bit more. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, guys, again, just wanted to get back to, thank you so much for making last weekend so amazing. It was my birthday last weekend. You guys showed up all throughout the weekend for the movie date episode, and then of course for the stream on Sunday. So really appreciate you guys for that. But let's talk about what we've done here this week and what we're going to be getting into this coming week. I'm pretty excited, man. Seems like the summer's going to be pretty busy for the channel. I mean, things are so busy that so right when I get done with this stream, I'm going to drive across town. Cecil Laird from the Horror Show channel lives in Chandler, so it's about an hour away from where I'm at. And he's working on the Dylan's New Nightmare follow-up script. Now, tentatively, we can just call it Dylan's New Nightmare 2, although I don't think that's going to be the name of the film once all is said and done. But he's working on that script right now. And, he does it's kind of fun on Sundays. It's sort of like a free-for-all kind of like creative party. So you never know who's going to be over there. But I'll be driving over there to work on a little script of my own that I'm putting together with my brother we're doing like a comic book kind of thing, but I want it to be like a motion comic. So it's going to be the way that I have it envisioned is like backgrounds and atmosphere and everything is going to be done through the Unreal Engine. My brother Matt does a whole bunch of 3D matte painting and 3D effects and all that stuff. So backgrounds, weather, like all that stuff is going to be Unreal Engine. So it's going to look pretty lifelike. But then I want to do more traditional, like thick lined comic book kind of characters that are, loosely animated on top of that. So it might even look sort of like an animated or a pitch, like an animatic pitch kind of thing, maybe a bit smoother. And of course, like more beautiful in the background. But yeah, that idea, it's called Dead Winter. And it is a Romero style zombie story that takes place. I don't know if I'm going to actually put it in my hometown of Juneau, Alaska, but I don't know if you guys know this about Juneau. It is landlocked. So you can take a boat to get out or you can fly to get out, but there's no road out of Juneau. They've talked about building one at numerous times, and it's never really gotten the support of the people because the impact it would have on the environment and also the cost. So, in Alaska, even if the conservatives and the, Democrats and Republicans are both really big fans and friends of keeping the environment as pristine as possible for the most part, right? So it's a little bit different than in other states where in Alaska, I feel like the environment is something that's like always been held with a little bit of a higher regard. And maybe that's because it was so pristine going into our country, acquiring that territory. So anyways, I don't know if it's going to be in Juneau or just a fictional town similar to Juneau, but the idea, is basically like, what would the zombie apocalypse look like to a town that could basically turn everything off, end flights, end boats coming in, maybe they could be safe. But at some point, don't you think that the zombies would find their way there? So without giving away too much more than that, that's sort of like the little genesis of the idea. So I'm going to be working on that script, or at least the synopsis and an opening scene, so my brother and I, so my brother Matt and I can put together a nice little pitch, just to be able to kind of proof of concept show what we're looking to do. So really looking forward to that. I think Robert the Wolfman is going to be hanging out as well. You guys know him out there in the chat. So yeah, should be a fun day here, and then we'll talk about what else I've got going on here shortly. We've got Carbonite Dreams popping in. Hey, Davey in chat, what's happening, bud? Good to see you in the chat. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out. We've got My Chunky Geordie. My Chunky Geordie. I sing that like My Stony Baby by 311. I don't know if you guys are 311 fans. I'm a casual 311 fan. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I certainly can see why some folks don't like 311. I do think there's a certain amount of like cheesiness to them, but also I think it's like pretty charming. Like 311 to me, they're total nerds, but they're like these pothead, like kind of like cool, like hippie nerd. I don't know how to explain it. There's something about 311 where I get like a kick out of their songs, even though sometimes I'm like, wow, I can't believe that lyric actually exists. But yeah. My Chunky Geordie. Just wanted to do it again. There we go. Yeah, so guys, we've got a whole bunch of fun stuff that we did this week here on the channel. So I'm going to jump over to split stream so we can start talking about some of that. You know, as you guys know, I'm sure a handful of you or all of you jumped into our Late Night with the Davey episode from last Wednesday. That was a lot of fun. We had Anthony Brownlee, who's an author from Ohio, big time Fred Head guy, literally part of the Fred Heads documentary. And, you know, not only a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, but if you guys go back and watch that episode, if you didn't happen to catch it when it was live, you know, he's a huge Halloween fan, huge Friday the 13th fan as well. And we got into some fun sort of like, you know, being a horror fan can make you kind of feel like an outsider a little bit. And so Anthony sort of got into, you know, talking about being bullied when he was a little kid, and that when he found horror, he felt like he finally found something for himself. So really cool, kind of like uplifting conversation about, you know, how a hobby or how a passion can be like a safe place for you and a bastion of, you know, hope. Even something like horror that most people would be like, oh, that's kind of weird that that's like your hopeful sort of thing. But as you guys know, it's not so much the subject material. It's about like, you know, the way the subject material makes you feel, the way it speaks to you, right? So it's not that like morbid things make you feel good, but it's just finding something that invigorates you and it excites you, can really get you through tough times, right? And like art can play such a big part in escaping, a healthy escape, right? Now, some of us like to you know, smoke a little or have a little something to drink before we watch a movie. But if you think of it from a kid's perspective, you're just like watching a movie. It can help you escape. Certainly a healthy escape. Music is a massive healthy escape for me. Probably the biggest one in my life, with film just right after it, you know. And I don't, you know, maybe film would have been a bigger part of my life if making films was a little easier to do when I was growing up. But certainly making music is relatively easy. You just pick up a guitar and start playing. So yeah, that was a great chat. We had Nightmare Christie on from Nightmare Toys. That was really fun. That was my first time really interacting with Christie. So, you know, we had chatted a little bit, like setting up the guest spot on the show and everything. She's such a sweet lady. You know, really, really fun loving. Has, you know, obviously a massive fandom, you know, owning Nightmare Toys. And not only like a massive fandom, but like understands what gets people roped in, you know, who to hire, who to bring into her store to keep things exciting. And we had a fun little kind of like this or that would you rather little rapid fire towards the end of our interview that was great. And then my buddy Brian McPherson from the Boston area, he's out living in Montana. He put out a record in January, really, really fun, you know, singer, songwriter, kind of folky punk. And he's heading out on tour this summer. So we talked a little bit about the record and then his tour and all that stuff. And actually, you guys, I think I forgot to put it in the description right now. I will add the links that I had in the description for that episode, because if you guys go to Brian's shop right now, he's got a sale on all of his merch because he's raising money for the tour. So check out some of his music, see if you want to purchase some of it. and any of that's going to go towards helping him, get out to the East Coast and back and have a successful tour here. So yeah, let me hop back on over to the chat, see what you guys are saying. All right, we've got Medley Man is back. Just rewatched Alien and Aliens, and I have to say, Scream 2 was wrong. Aliens is better. What does CC say? She's like, well, there's no accounting for taste. I don't feel that way. I think that Alien and Aliens are both so strong, but they're totally different movies, like almost different genres. So I guess it's like what you're in the mood for, right? I would say Aliens is certainly more exciting for sure, a bit more gripping, a bit easier to just like pop on and get right to it. I do like the slow burn, like haunted house aspect of the original Alien. And something that as I get older, I really like a lot more about Alien is that like Ripley's right the whole time. Like the protocol officer is trying to tell everyone like what they can and can't do. And everyone's just sort of like, yeah, but we don't want to. We just want to do our own thing. And certainly there's other elements in there, of course, with Ash. Like Ash has his own pre-programmed kind of thing. But I think it's kind of like what you're in the mood for. I would say that they're like pretty equal. I enjoy both of those movies so much. So we got Koi in the chat. What's happening? Happy Senyo. And he says, I had the girl from the opening of Jaws gets chased down by the shark. Oh, yeah. She, oh, yeah, you heard that. Yeah, she passed away. Was it last week or the week before? Yeah, she passed away. It was like the same day of that Roger Corman passed away, or maybe the next day. Antona says, speaking of music, my favorite kind of music genre is pop. Yeah, I like some pop music. I think there's always good stuff in pop and bad stuff in pop for sure. Yeah, Happy. She, man, I mean, her role there in Jaws is, it really gets the audience invested right away. I mean, what a performance there, we are doing great. How about yourself, Koi? Have you gotten any awesome cards this week or picked up any comic books? Let me know. Let me know. I'm interested to hear. And Koi says Aliens is better than Alien. Different movies, but 2 is better and arguably a harder production to pull off. Well, certainly I would say a harder production. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much more going on in Aliens. But I do like there's something about the Ridley Scott like contemplative nature of his Alien movies. I didn't like Alien Covenant too much because I felt like he sort of compromised a bit too much and gave, this is going to sound so mean, gave the dumb people in the audience what they wanted. Prometheus isn't perfect by any measure. There's some, scientists like doing really, really dumb stuff that scientists should never do in that movie. But I do think that Prometheus, like the seeds were planted in Prometheus for a really thoughtful trilogy that could have like, really built that world up. And I felt like everything was completely abandoned after Prometheus when they did Covenant. And I did not like Covenant. I was kind of bored and frustrated pretty much the whole time. Medley Man would say, I'd say they're equal, but Aliens is literally 40 minutes longer and has more plot. Absolutely. Yeah, Aliens is really, really fun. When I was a kid, it was a no-brainer. I liked Aliens more. But yeah, no, I hear you guys for sure. If you're basing how good your movie is on how much plot there is per minute, then Alien 1 is better. Yeah, and also like if you just want a moody, slow burn, or do you want something that's a little more like high octane action? I think that's a great thing about that franchise, especially those first 2 movies. I like that they're different. I don't want to see Alien again right after Alien. Like I thought that Alien was a cool, moody piece, that isolation and everything. And then in Aliens, you're like, all right, we've already like blown the mystery with the alien. Let's just throw a whole bunch of aliens at him. It's sort of like in Jaws 2, Jeanot Swark was sort of like, well, there's no point in holding off on showing the shark. Like we might as well start showing the shark earlier in Jaws 2 because, we're never going to recapture that suspense in the original film of not being able to see the shark for so long. So I feel like they kind of did that with Aliens as well, My Chunky Jordy says, I like reggae. My dog is named after Bob Marley's son, Ziggy, as he wouldn't answer to Bob, but Ziggy he loves. That's hilarious. New Aliens are pretty good. They're just different. I'm really looking forward to Fede Alvarez's Alien Romulus because, what Fede did with The Evil Dead was really cool. You know, Don't Breathe. I really liked that. So to be able to see, well, not only can he handle somebody else's property, he can also do something that's original. And I think that one of the toughest things to do as a director or a creator, or at least like seemingly to me, one of the toughest things to do is to take something that someone else has created, their world, and find a way to tell a story within that world that in some way feels like your own thing, but also to the audience that loves that property, it seems familiar to them. So when I watched the teaser trailer for Romulus, to me, I was like, man, he's really capturing like a nice mix between the Ridley Scott feel and the James Cameron feel. And I trust Fede Alvarez so damn much. Like, I just think he does such a great job. So I'm really looking forward to Romulus for sure. Chunky Jordy said, I enjoyed Prometheus, but I kept falling asleep through Covenant. Yeah, Covenant just seems like really half-hearted to me. And yeah, I just feel like we've already gotten those movies. So it's like, why go back? Like with Prometheus, I felt like Ridley Scott was trying to like move the story forward and take it to a different level, and then immediately peeled it back because I guess Prometheus was just too highbrow for a lot of people. Yeah, I thought Covenant was just unnecessary. Romulus is a thing that's going to exist. I think it'll be pretty good, Medley Man. I don't know if that means you're not excited, but I think it'll be pretty good. I guess we'll see, right? I mean, I don't really need to see a longer trailer because I thought the teaser did a great job. But if they put one out, I'll probably watch it because I do this YouTube thing. Speaking of which, there was a Beetlejuice trailer that dropped earlier this week that I did a little trailer reaction to. I really enjoyed the teaser that they put out. What was it, like a month and a half ago or something like that? And the trailer reaction that I dropped for that did pretty well for the channel. So I was like, well, I've got to jump on and do the reaction for the full trailer here. So a lot more Keaton here, which was great. Little bit of Winona, a tiny bit of Jenna Ortega. I kind of like that they didn't really give away too much there. And it seems like with this trailer, it seems like the plot, there's going to be, you know, Monica Bellucci's character and Willem Dafoe's character. There's some sort of, I don't know if they're like private investigators in like the, you know, the other side kind of thing, but it looks like they're kind of hunting down Beetlejuice. We'll see if the Beetlejuice motivation is pretty much the same as the first one. It seems like he's probably just going to sort of like, he wants to marry Jenna Ortega now instead of wanting to marry Winona Ryder's character. So I don't know how that's all going to shake out, but I do know this. Michael Keaton's every little bit of that performance there in that trailer convinces me that he totally has it. He's not lost a step. This guy is amazing. You know, to have that kind of energy, not only to have the energy, but to have it translate so well visually at his age. And I'm not, you know, he's not like incredibly old. I'm just saying, like, it's just one of those things as life goes on, you're just a bit more poppin' with your energy as a younger person. It's just a friggin' fact of life. So to me, I was like, man, he's bringing all that energy. It's like we came right from 1988, jumped into 2014. Like he walked off the set from the original Beetlejuice into the sequel and has the same amount of energy. He looks great. And that's you know, a testament to the makeup. I mean, obviously you can tell he's aged a bit, but the makeup does a pretty good job of, you know, it doesn't really seem like it's been, you know, 35 years ish. So I think that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to Beetlejuice. Kate is a huge fan of the original, my wife, Kate. So we're going to be there to see it in the theater no matter what. And yeah, check out that trailer reaction if you guys haven't seen it. Of course, anytime you watch one of my pre-recorded videos or go back and watch a replay of the lives, it certainly helps the channel. And of course, if you haven't done it yet, please leave a like on this video. Yeah, I'm going to jump into the chat here and see what you guys are saying. Koi says, you a Beavis and Butthead fan, Davey? What you watch when you want to laugh? I am a big Beavis and Butthead fan. I haven't watched too much of the newer stuff, though. You know, as you get older, it just gets tougher and tougher to work in everything. But, you know, I was in like, it was like the summer after my 4th grade year when they debuted on MTV. So that was a lot of fun. I had to like sneak around and watch that show because my parents really didn't want me to watch Beavis and Butthead. But yeah, I love that kind of dumb humor. I think Mike Judge does a really good job of dumb humor because there is some intelligence behind it. It's like a a really interesting fine line that he walks. As far as like what I like for comedies, Coy, um, I grew up watching stuff like Caddyshack, Dirty Work, Loaded Weapon 1. Um, Fletch is one of my favorite comedies of all time. Airplane, Naked Gun, Hot Shots. When I want to laugh for like a TV show or something, I'm putting on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I really enjoy at least like this first like 12 seasons of that. Then it's like they got a little too aware and maybe a little too politically correct. Yeah, I don't know. Something about the writing just doesn't seem like it's quite there anymore. I think that's the problem when the people creating the show and writing the show become massive celebrities is they start playing it a little bit too safe. I definitely think Rob McElhenney has played it way too safe with It's Always Sunny the last few years, unfortunately. My wife and I always like put on The Office as like our background kind of show. I enjoy the American Office, really enjoy the British Office. The IT Crowd, the BBC IT Crowd is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. And my favorite funny show of all time, actually, really my favorite TV show of all time is Mystery Science Theater 3000. I love that show. I always get a kick out of it. I love the fact that you can watch a bad movie and turn it into something, positive and fun. Medley Man says, I love the Willem Dafoe casting choice so much. Yeah, Willem Dafoe is great. And you know what? Monica Bellucci, I haven't seen her in something in a really long time, but she looks really damn good too. And it's a really cool, it'll just be fun to see that dynamic. And another thing I want to mention here before we move on from Beetlejuice is Justin Theroux. That little bit that we get of him in the teaser, I was completely blown away. I've seen him perform in other movies where it's just sort of a standard, straight up kind of performance. But it felt like to me in this one, he was really having some fun and kind of letting it fly. I really love seeing performers get to like stretch and just like do things how, especially in a movie like Beetlejuice, in that kind of world, you're certainly going to have a couple characters that sort of anchor you down. But I really like the zaniness that I saw from him in that little bit that we got. So it's pretty cool. I don't know, Antonis. Probably. Maybe they'll do a third one. I guess if it does well, they'll probably try to get another one pumped out here before 2030, So I guess we'll see. Mud says, I'm going to be honest, that trailer kind of made me less excited. It looks too blockbustery like the new Ghostbusters movie. Yeah, there's certainly some 3D effects and stuff like that don't look so good. It still has that great, like Tim Burton's bringing that great, classic look of his. There's that shot of the plane that looks pretty rough there. But special effects are things that the one thing I've learned from what my brother does, because he works in Hollywood on movies and TV shows and stuff. Sometimes they work on special effects like a couple weeks up to when the movie releases. So, it's not at all out of the realm that they're going to work on those visual effects, those digital effects, and make them, a little bit tighter before the movie comes out. So yeah, we'll see. If this movie only makes $0, it'll be the last one. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna have to earn its keep, and it's gonna have to, justify a sequel, rightly so. Favorite scene from the first Beetlejuice movie. That's such a tough one. It's really tough to not pick the part where they all dance and sing to Deo, because it's really great to see those performers kind of act like they're marionette puppets in a sense. Like it's a cool sort of, just something that's out there that you don't see very much. So, when I see a scene like that in a film, it just takes me back to a time where people took chances in Hollywood and took chances with their filmmaking. I don't see many chances being taken anymore, by and large. Mud says, I say Moon River every time I get hurt now instead of cussing. That's hilarious. You got the whole fist up there, Doc? Isn't there a children's book named Babar? I don't know. I don't have any. Children? No. Books about elephants. Love the Gopher and Caddyshack and Airplane is great. Oh, yeah. I mean, Carbonite Dream says, have you checked out What We Do in the Shadows? I have not seen that show. I know I should, though, because it's got folks from the IT Crowd are in there. So I should check that out for sure. I do, man, the IT Crowd to me is just the perfect blend of British humor meeting an American style humor. I feel like Graham Linehan's shows are all kind of have a little inspiration from American comedy, which is really cool to see with those British sensibilities, you know. I have not seen The Wire, Medley Man. I know. I need to see it. Yep, I know. Everyone tells me. MST3K, dude, we were meant to be friends. Me and my brother love watching those in riff tracks. Yeah. I discovered Mystery Science Theater 3000. It was like 94, 94, the summer of 94. We didn't have Comedy Central in Juneau until 94. So I was just flipping around one Saturday night and Colossus and the Headhunters was on. That's an early Mike episode. And I was like, what the hell is this? It just kind of blew my mind. I didn't know quite what to think. And so I immediately like went to the TV listing and was like, when is this show going to be on next so I can watch the whole thing? Then I saw next episode and it was Joel that was hosting the episode. So I was like, what's going on? And it was Mystery Science Theater was one of the first things I ever looked up on the internet. I went to a library in my hometown, the UAS, the University of Alaska Southeast Library, black and orange screen, text only, and looked up a Mystery Science Theater FAQ and then started like taping the episodes. I'd set the VCR. The episodes would run from like 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. that summer. I would tape every episode and watch them. And then when school started, they kept it going 1 to 3 a.m, Alaska time. I would tape the episode, come home from school, make myself a little snack, rewind that tape, and watch the episode. It was a great way to wind down. Yeah, Mystery Science Theater's got such a soft spot for me, guys. I just really like it's kind of like Comida Dadaism, you know, like Dada is the artist that would take a urinal and like turn it upside down and like put a plant in it or something. And like, you know, that was like his way of you take something that already exists and turn it into art. And I feel like Mystery Science Theater does that with bad movies. Medley Man, I'm watching The Wire right now. Yeah, I gotta check it out. I gotta check it out. Yeah, and I don't mind if the first couple episodes are slow. I can work with that as long as it's building up, like, you know, to something. So I can deal with that. Yeah. It's wasn't that it's more procedural and grounded in the beginning, but it really picks up. Yeah. You have to lay that foundation, right? You know, it's the way to go. Do you know if the House sequels are good? I've not seen any of the House movies. I need to get on those because I've never seen one of them. I'm terrible. Let's see here, guys. Another thing we had that popped up here on the channel. Well, not really on my channel this week, but I was on Sledgehammer Horror. I've got a link in the description below. I was episode like 548 of my first horror movie. That was a lot of fun. Ken and I jumped on a call and, you know, we talk about Halloween 2. We talk about punk rock. We talk about all sorts of stuff. So it's a nice little 25-minute video where you get to, you know, I think I'm a little bit different when I'm on other people's channels, when I'm, you know, kind of like playing the host and everything and interacting with you guys. I feel like sometimes if I'm on someone else's channel, it's kind of nice because it's like they've got that responsibility of being the host and guiding everything. And like Justin Theroux in the Beetlejuice trailer, I get to just sort of let loose a little bit more. So it's a little bit of a different perspective on my personality. So yeah, if you guys want to get a little bit of a different look at Davey, different look at like what I do and all that kind of stuff, please check out that video. Of course, you know, subscribe to Sledgehammer Horror if you haven't already. They are just flying up in sub count. It's amazing. It's so inspiring to see that they just keep at it. They're keeping their thing going regular, and they are just, you know, the subs are just, they're going to be at 10,000 here. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens within the next like month or two that they'll be at 10,000 subs, maybe even sooner, because it just seems to be flying up. So, of course, you know, checking out that video on their channel is great for them. And it's also, you know, it's really cool to see that, you know, that I've got folks, you know, going over there to support them and encouraging them to maybe bring me back. So speaking of that, I'm going to be hopping on live with Ken, and I'm forgetting the other name, and I don't want to pick up my phone and look at everything right now. I drop a link in the description below, but I don't think there's a link yet. But on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be hopping on Sledgehammer Horror live, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 kills in the Final Destination franchise. So if you guys are Final Destination fans, or you're just a fan of people talking about their top kills within a franchise, then definitely tune into that. I'm excited for that. And man, the collaborations are just continuing to pop up. I'm gonna have Ken and Ash from Sledgehammer Horror on Late Night with the Davy later on in June as well. So look forward to that. And yeah, man, it's like we talk about all the time here on the channel. It's lifting each other up, getting to know each other, and building up that community has been just so awesome and inspiring. It just seems like every week I'm fueled to just keep on getting out there and doing more and more. So yeah, really excited to just get a little more exposure too, to be on a channel that has that many subs and they're, really up and coming in a very fast way. It's great for the channel here, right? So hopefully it means more people coming into the chat. It means you guys making more friends in the chat, all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, let's see what you guys are saying here. Medley Man says House 1 is as good as Nightmare 3. All right. All right. Watched it for you. Which oh yeah, Mud, yes. Yeah. Mud commented, Gavin commented, like, I don't really like Halloween 2, but I watched this for Davey. I'll take the bullet for him. Really appreciate that, Gavin. You're the best, man. Really appreciate it. Favorite sci-fi movie. That's what do I do for favorite sci-fi movie? Yeah, because I don't consider like Star Wars sci-fi because it's like space fantasy. Trying to think. I might have to think about that one for a little bit, Coy. I mean, the original Aliens got to be up there. I really do enjoy 2001: A Space Odyssey. I know it's kind of slow and boring in its own way, but also I think it's one of those movies where if you know what you're getting into and you can like expect it, or even before the first time I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, I read a whole bunch about it. Like I read people's theories about what it all meant and all of that. So as I'm watching the movie, I'm sitting there like kind of thinking that's like rolling in my head. So even though the movie is relatively slow, it was still like food for thought, So I really enjoyed that. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I know there's something that I'm totally missing. I'm trying to like go through my catalog in my head to make sure that I don't miss some sci-fi that I really, really love. I don't. Is RoboCop a sci-fi movie? I think so. I think RoboCop's kind of a sci-fi movie, right? Turning a man who's had his head blown off into half robot, half machine. The Terminator. Okay, now I've got it. Okay, now I've got it, Coy. The wheels are turning here. Okay, so I'll just name three that I think are like all worthy of a number one spot. Alien, the Terminator, and RoboCop. I'll say those. I really like those movies a lot. I think the first Terminator is still the best movie in the franchise. That's how I feel about that. Coy's going to check out the Sledgehammer Horror. That's awesome. And you're right. Yeah, hosting is way different than being a guest. Yeah, there's just so much more. Like it's kind of nice, it's like going over to a friend's house and they take care of everything. It's awesome. My chunky Jordy says House and House 2 are great. Can't remember if I saw the third, which means it's not that good in my eyes. Or maybe you hadn't seen it. I don't know. Yeah, I need to watch all of them. I've heard really good things. I've heard they're really fun movies. Did Steve Miner do all of them or did he just do the first one? Let me know in the chat, guys. All I know is House 2 is called Second Story, which I think is funny. That's it is a great one. And don't they bring that one up in Scream 2 as well, right? Doesn't Joshua Jackson say, I've got it, guys. House 2, the Second Story. And everyone like throws their pencils and paper at him. Medley Man says Halloween 2 is both my favorite Halloween movie and one of the worst Halloween movies. Because are you saying like the original Halloween 2 is your favorite Halloween movie, but then the Rob Zombie one you think is the worst, or is there a love-hate thing that you have with the original Halloween 2? Let me know, Medley Man. 2001 has some of the best cinematography in all of film. Yeah, Gavin, 2001: A Space Odyssey is the special effects in that film are amazing. People forget that movie was made in 1968. It looks so gorgeous. It hardly looks dated by today's standards, which is incredible. And yeah, it's kind of slow, but guess what? So is life in space. So I think they're just trying to put you there, It is an absolute marvel of filmmaking, 100%. Gene says, do you have a favorite movie that isn't horror or sci-fi? Yeah, I mean, I would say that the first Caddyshack movie is probably in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's just so damn funny to me. Fletch is like right up there too. So comedy wise, that's where I'd go. I'm trying to think of maybe something that's like right up there in the top five that's even outside of all of that. Empire Strikes Back is a top five movie for me. I really love that. And like I said, I think I consider Star Wars fantasy, even though there's like elements in space. It's not really so much about science. It's about the fantasy of it all. So it's like a high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, just in space. Yeah. All right. Hey, we've got there we go. Medley Man confirms RoboCop is sci-fi. Awesome. I think so too. I don't know why it took me so long to come to that realization there. We got Gory Tiger in the chat. What's happening, Gory? Great to see you. We've got Ashton Luck. How's it going, Ashton? Great to see you as well, my guy. Oh, love seeing you guys pour here into the chat. Gavin says, yet Dr. Strangelove is still my favorite Kubrick movie, no matter how good 2001 looks. Well, yeah, Dr. Strangelove is really funny in that dark kind of way and very entertaining. Kubrick didn't really make all of his movies look so good, right? So it's sort of about which one works better for you. I mean, there's some of those directors out there where it's like, you're not going to technically get a bad movie out of them. You know what I mean? So it's just sort of about, how you feel about the story and all that. Medley Man has a love-hate with the original. All right. Interesting. I really like the original Halloween too, but I totally get what people say. I do think there are moments that feel like nothing's really happening. So as I've gotten older, and then certainly even with the David Gordon Green trilogy coming out, I think I've got to put Halloween 2018 in front of Halloween 2 as far I think it's a better movie. Honestly, guys, I think Halloween Kills might even be better than Halloween 2. And not to say that everything in Halloween Kills works for me, but the things that work for me in Halloween Kills work for me really, really well. Everyone's saying hi to each other. That is awesome to see that. I love it. Your live with Sledgehammer is 5th of June. I'd put a link, but only mods can do that. Yeah, I can find that link. I looked for it yesterday and I couldn't see it. So excuse the, any of the shakiness of the camera here. Let me grab that and put it in there. Cause, you know what? I did think I see it, but they don't have, let's see here. Final Destination Kills. It's scheduled for the 4th, Tuesday the 4th. So I will copy that link and put it here in the chat. Thanks for good looking out on that. My chunky Geordie. There you guys go. Does that show as an actual link for you guys? I'm not sure what it looks like over on YouTube because I'm looking at it through StreamYard. So even if it doesn't work as a link there, guys, I'll put it in the description once we're out of the live stream here, so you can check that out. But 5th of June, let's see here. 5th of June, I am coming back with another episode of Late Night with the Davey. Let's see here. But before we get there, I want to cover a couple other things that I've got cooking for you guys here. So excuse me while I jump over, but really quick, I want to say, what's up, Raymond Malaber? Welcome to the chat, bud. Great to see you here. Okay, awesome, Medley Man. You guys can see it as a link. That's great. Ashton, I agree. Ken and Ashley are awesome. I'm really excited to hop on there with them again. Of course, every time you interact with other content creators, it's an opportunity to get to know them a little bit better. Ken and I have so much in common with our musical taste and our film taste as far as being horror fans. So always really fun to chat with those guys. And yeah, I think we're penciling them in for, let's see here. It would be June 12th to be on Late Night with the Davey. So yeah, working on booking the rest of that show right now. That's the challenge with Late Night with the Davey. The show is the easy part. Doing the show live is the easy part, even though it has its own challenges, as you guys probably saw if you watched this last week's episode. But yeah, booking people can be tough because not only, you want to make sure, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not just always having a bunch of dudes on the channel or, on the show, just because I know there are other folks out there. So I want to mix it up as much as I can, but also you're working with other people's schedules. Some people are more responsive than others. Some people are quicker to get in on those chats, all that kind of stuff. So that's the biggest hurdle with Late Night with the Davy. But I've been having a really good time so far. I know it's only been 2 episodes, but I really want this show to work. And I think Late Night with the Davy could turn into something really fun. And it might take a long time. I mean, that's the thing with YouTube and doing a creative project, guys, is sometimes it feels like it's slow going and you're like, oh, it's not like kicking off right away. Like, I should just give up. But it's like, you know what? If it takes 6 months to a year of doing Late Night with the Davy every week for it to really take off, then so be it. Because you know what's awesome about that is all those episodes are going to be in the back catalog. And I know the way that I am when I find a channel and they've existed for like a year or whatever, and I've never watched any of their videos. If I really enjoy what they do, I go into the big old rabbit hole and I check out everything they've done. Right. So I think at some point, someone's going to find Late Night with the Davy and they're going to see that there's 6 months worth of episodes. And whenever they're doing chores around the house or their commute to work, they'll pop on one of those episodes. And the show will certainly find a bigger audience live and find a bigger audience on the replays as well. So, and then, yeah, as the show grows, I'm going to swing a little bit for the fences a little bit more, trying to get maybe bigger actors and directors and stuff like that. Really inspired by seeing, who Ken and Ashley are able to get on for my first horror movie. They're able to get all sorts of, performers that to me are like, I'm like, wow, they got that person on for their show. That's awesome. Like, I feel like we can work up to that, but it's got to, be cultivated naturally and it's got to be earned. And the more and more of those episodes I do, oh, are you guys there still? I don't know what goes on here. It's like an hour after streaming through XSplit or whatever, there's like a little blip. I have no idea why that happens, guys, but hopefully you can still see and hear me here. So yeah, really looking forward to that and looking forward to having them on Late Night with the Davy and watching that show grow there. Let's see here. I love Halloween 2. I was 6 when I watched it on TV while my mom was in the kitchen. She knew I was watching it. My older brother was shocked. Oh no, it was same kind of thing with me. My mom was in the kitchen. I was watching, we had a little TV in the kitchen, and that's all I'll say. You're gonna have to go over to Sledgehammer Horror and hear the rest of the story there. Let's see here. Oh, there you go. I didn't get dyslexic. It's actually the 5th in England. There you go. And yeah, sorry, I didn't know you were in England. So yeah, it's on Tuesday the 4th over here. And then yeah, it'll be in the early morning there for you guys. Very, very late night. So let's hop on back over to XSplit here. And what else do we have? Oh yeah, I've got my my Scream franchise ranking in the can. I shot that one yesterday, so just got to do some editing on that one to get it out. And just with how busy everything's been with the live shows, and then the Sledgehammer Horror episode, I didn't feel a rush to try to get it out before the weekend. So expect the Scream franchise ranking to drop early this week, maybe even tomorrow. I might actually work on that when I go over to Cecil's. So let me know what you guys think of the thumbnail. Am I losing it? Is my thumbnail game suffering here? I don't know. Sometimes when you put together a thumbnail, you're like, I don't want to think about this. I just want something that looks cool. So yeah, really excited about that one. That was a pretty easy shoot for me because there's only 6 films and I'm like pretty rock solid on how I feel about all of them. So I'm excited to get that one out there and see where you guys think I'm wrong and see, where you guys rank the franchise and why. That's the exciting thing about that. So let's see here. Raymond says that would be really cool if you get some actors of our favorite movies on. Yeah, that's the goal, man. That's what I want to do. And I want it to be like a late night talk show, like a Conan O'Brien kind of thing where, we bring people on that are creative and they get to talk about what they're doing. And, we get to lift people up. And then also, I'm hoping, it can turn into something where, of course, like huge names are going to be really difficult, right? But within our sphere of the horror world, I think we could get some folks in. It'll be really exciting. I've already talking to some other content creators that are a little busy at the moment, but already, thinking about, we're already kind of booking July and then thinking about the fall for people that are just, they know they're too busy throughout the whole summer. So, yeah, I mean, not to blow anything, before it happens or put the cart in front of the horse. I almost said horse in front of the cart, cart in front of the horse, but Reached out to Cody Leach, and he was really sweet and awesome about it. And it sounds like we'll be getting him on the show in July. So I'm really excited for that. I've been watching Cody for a really long time, and you know, what a just a massive subscriber count, right? Hugely successful film reviewer, not just horror, but I also see him pop up on all sorts of people's channels, people with a lot of subscribers, people with not that many, people in the middle. He's a shining example, right, of the kind of content creators that I want to collaborate with, and the kind of content creator that I want to be here on YouTube, where you can find a way to make time for the people that are up and coming, as well as the people that have been established. I think that's something that I really look up to with people like Cody, people like Lee from Drum Dums, people like Chris Stanley and Vincent DeSanti. Like, these are guys that have, had such great success, yet they still are there for everybody. And as long as you take their, you respect their time and you take it seriously, they'll hop on and do something with you. It's awesome. And we've got Chud's Corner. What's happening, Chad? Great to see you in the chat, buddy. Awesome to see you pop on over here. I saw you earlier in the what is it called? What do they call their thing? I want to say Evil Dead because they use that font. But Destiny and Brett over there at Good Real Hunting was watching them earlier this morning while eating breakfast and saw Chad pop on over there. Medley Man says, when are you doing the Halloween ranking? Make the Ghostface as big as you in the thumbnail. Yeah, I mean, I thought I made Ghostface, like, I could always make Ghostface a little bit bigger, but it's my channel, right? It's not Ghostface's channel. I'll be doing the Halloween ranking in October, Medley Man. Yeah, I'll hold off on that. I want it to like hit at the right time for the algorithm, all that kind of stuff. So, I watch those movies so much, I could probably do that ranking whenever, but I'm going to wait until that'll be part of like our whole October rollout. So that'll be really fun to do that. And then tier list. Yeah, I was going to ask you guys about that because I was thinking about doing the tier list thing. A lot of YouTube creators hop on there and do the tier list makers, which can be really fun. So let me know in the chat and in the comments, guys, what do you want to see me rank in a tier list? Because I do the franchise rankings are a little more cut and dry. Like, I don't need to necessarily do like A, B, C, D, E, F, like, ranking, or A, B, C, D, F, like ranking them like grades in a school. I just want to rank them, 1 through whatever. So for Scream, it'll be 1 through 6, or 6 through 1, I guess we'll go reverse. But as far as like a tier list, what do you guys want to see me rank for tiers? Now I'm thinking like you do like franchise tier rankings where you actually pit franchises against one another. Or Dave McRae did a really cool one yesterday that I missed live, but I was able to catch on the replay, where he ranks the Halloween timelines. That's a really fun one too. So, or even like ranking, the kills within a given franchise. So let me know, guys, in the chat and in the comments. And of course, feel free to DM me on Insta and on Twitter if there's a ranking that you want to see, that would be great. Let's see here. Ken and Ashley had the actress that played Megan on. That's so cool. I saw they had David Howard Thornton on there. They had Lou Taylor Pucci from Evil Dead 2013, who I think he puts in a great performance there. And I absolutely love that movie. It's my second favorite in the franchise. So yeah, they back from the dead. Thank you, Raymond. Really appreciate you, man. I know sometimes when you get on live, it's like, I haven't even hit my cannabis pens or anything today, but sometimes when you get on live, it sort of feels like you're stoned because you're so like in the moment and everything. So really appreciate that help. Little Pale Girl from Terrifier 2. Yeah, I saw that they had her as well. Really awesome to see that group of people that they've got going on there. So yeah, guys, I'll have the Scream franchise. I can't say that right. I'm saying like Stream franchise and then Scream franchise. I'll have the Scream franchise ranking on the channel here by like Monday or so. And maybe I'll put that on Patreon. Like if it's ready tonight, I might drop it on Patreon tonight. So keep an eye out, Antonis and Gavin, for that one. I'm still like learning so much about Patreon. So that's why I reached out with you guys as far as messages go for reviews. And since it's just two patrons right now, it's easy to do that where I'm letting you guys kind of pick a movie that I'll review. Moving forward, as we get more patrons on that on the Patreon, I'll probably do like a poll. So I'll probably do like, out of these four movies, what do you guys want to see me review? And we'll probably do like one or two Patreon reviews a month or something like that. Just like everything else on the channel, that's going to be kind of a work in progress. I'll be figuring it out as I go. So I really like extra appreciate you guys becoming members there and supporting the channel, not only with the likes and the views and subbing and all that, but supporting it financially is huge to me. So I do want to give you guys a little bit of that, extra good while you're the only two there. But yeah, as we kind of grow with that Patreon, it'll be sort of like more of a communal thing. So we'll see how it goes from there. And then another thing we've got coming up next week is Real Talk. I know I told you guys about it last week. I jumped on with Brett and Brad from Good Real Hunting. We hopped on for like a good couple hours, and they interviewed me. I got to interview them a little bit. Really fun. Sometimes we're staying on topic. Other times we veer off topic. And it was great getting to know those guys. I really love the way that they run their channel. A lot of what I do here is inspired from the way that those guys run what they do. They're so awesome at including you guys in the chat. And that was one thing that I noticed. Like, I noticed that as an audience member on their channel, I felt more seen and more part of it than I do maybe on some other channels, because they're so good about involving everyone. So I definitely wanted to make sure to take inspiration from that, really involve you guys, make the channel just as much about you as it is about me and what I want to do on the channel. Because like I say, every single time, you guys are the shareholders. I'm just the CEO. The channel is nothing without you. So it was really great to chat with those guys, get to give them their flowers throughout the interview as well. And also, just like I said with Sledgehammer Horror, just get to cut loose a little bit. I poured myself a little, I had like an old fashioned that I sipped on, throughout the interview. You guys know I'm not really doing the drinking thing. It's, for a while it was a lifestyle thing for me. And then now it's sort of like this like once a week or something, I'll pour myself a little drink. It'll be fun to jump on with these guys and just sort of loosen up a little bit. So that was really cool to hop on with those guys. I think that's going to be dropping on Tuesday, if I remember correctly. What Brett said in the Back from the Dead airing earlier today. So yeah, look out for Real Talk with Davey Deathray and Brett and Brad from Good Real Hunting. Really looking forward to that one. Let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat. You can totally do something out of the box, like food tier list. Yeah, we could do like favorite or foods, like snacks for movie watching. Like I could rank like popcorn versus nachos versus like sweet tarts versus red vines. It sounds so silly as I'm saying it, but that would be like a fun kind of oddball thing to do. And that would probably be really, really quick, but yeah, we could do all sorts of fun stuff. Like we could rank the major league sports of America, like whatever you guys want to do. It could be wild. Medley Man says my ranking of Scream is 154623. Excellent. I love knowing people's rankings. Let me know when that video drops, Medley Man. Hop on into the comments, drop that ranking in there, and let me know some of the reasons why. I'm always interested to know that, especially after you watch my ranking and you see where we differ. Let me know. I'm always curious to know why folks put things in certain spots. I say this in the video, but it kind of helps me the next time I watch the movie. It's sort of like some food for thought as I sit there and watch the movie again. Gavin says it's looking like Intruder is going to take the W. Yeah, I'm excited to see how that poll's doing. I haven't taken a look at it. So, but yeah, next time, Gavin, we can do Mandy, because I watched the trailer for it and it looks really, really interesting. So it looks beautiful, that film. So, I'm such a huge film fan. When we were chatting on Insta, it's sort of like I can be down for anything at any given time. So, but it is really cool of you to throw it back to everybody else for them to pick which movie to watch here. Raymond says, I'll be watching. Respect them for doing a live stream the other night while they were both sick. Yeah, they did their final girl rankings and they were both not feeling so hot. So that is pretty awesome of them. They soldiered through, and I couldn't really tell, other than them bringing it up. I wouldn't have known. So more credit to them for that as well. All right, and let's see what we've got next. We've got Late Night with the Davy is coming back on Wednesday. I'm really pumped for that one, guys, because we've got Braden Timmons. You guys know him from YouTube as a film reviewer, but you also know him as a film director. The Haddonfield Nightmare and now The Last Nightmare Part 1 that just wrapped. And yeah, it'll be really cool to have Braden on. I've bumped into him at a couple press screenings, and I saw him at H45. So we've chatted for a little bit, but we've never really been able to, get to know each other beyond that, or beyond me hopping in a chat on his channel, when he goes live with Destiny there. So really looking forward to getting to know Braden a little bit bigger, a little bit better, and chat about, the navigation of being not only a film reviewer, but also a filmmaker, and just kind of what that's like. I'm really interested to pick his brain on that one. And then we've got Nick Miller from the Lost River Drive-In. I'm really looking forward to having Nick on. I love Nick's videos. He's got a great voice. I like that there's nothing necessarily flashy about the presentation, but the content within is so interesting to me. When I discovered his channel, which really wasn't that long ago, because I watch all sorts of different stuff. YouTube has no idea what to do with me. When they recommend videos to me, it's hilarious because I watch all sorts of different stuff on YouTube. So sometimes I don't find out about content creators, even if they're doing, even if we're kind of in similar realms of content creation. So bumped into Nick's channel probably a couple months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, and just kind of did the whole rabbit hole binge. And we feel so similarly about some movies that don't quite get much love out there. So really looking forward to having him on and getting to know him better, of course. And then we've got my buddy Maxwell Stern. He is an amazing musician from Ohio, from Cleveland, I believe. And he performs solo. So he's got his own solo outfit. He is in a awesome band called Signals Midwest. Really, really fun. If you like that kind of like, to me, it sort of reminds me of that like late 90s, early 2000s sort of like indie, a little hint of like a emo kind of feel, but more on the indie rock kind of side. I don't know if you guys know who Braid is, but very similar to a band like Braid or Pilot to Gunner, really similar kind of feel. Really love Signals Midwest music. And then he's in a band called Timeshares, which I actually really love. And I knew about Timeshares. I saw them in Portland and actually opened up for them in Portland before Max had joined. So, we'll talk about his music life. He's also a visual artist as well. So we'll talk about all of that, and we'll showcase one of his songs there on the episode as well. So really looking forward to that episode of Late Night with the Davy we've got coming up. And other than that, yeah, I watched Terrifier, guys. I watched Terrifier. It's true. I finally did it. And I've not seen Terrifier 2 yet because I am going to shoot my review for Terrifier before I watch Terrifier 2, because the last thing I want is to be talking about Terrifier 2 the whole time or referencing it during my review of Terrifier. So I want my review of Terrifier to just exist in that vacuum. Then I'll watch the follow-up. I'll watch the sequel. I'll do a review for that. So expect the Terrifier review to drop mid to late next week. I'm probably going to shoot that like tomorrow or this evening or maybe tomorrow morning. We'll just see how that all goes. I kind of want to shoot it tonight, so that way I can watch the movie tonight, watch the sequel tonight, and then shoot my review for Terrifier 2 tomorrow. Because, with Kate being out of the house, I'm living like the bachelor life. It's me and the 3 cats. And so it's like when you have like, kind of an empty house, so to speak, like it's just really easy for me to just dive right in with all this creative stuff, just get a bunch of stuff lined up that I can release, later on. So especially with the pre-recorded videos, it just takes a little bit longer. I really love the lives because they're just immediate. I don't have to edit or anything like that. On the pre-recorded, I need to make sure that I've got like a good performance. My vocal mistakes and all that stuff, you got to reshoot those and you got to edit it. It turns into a whole friggin' thing. Honestly, editing sometimes is like twice as long as shooting the video. So the pre-recorded stuff takes a little bit longer, but as with all my pre-recorded stuff now, guys, it's going to be going on Patreon at least a couple days early. So if you want the early access to my pre-recorded videos, hop on over to my Patreon. The link is in the description below. You can sign up and be a patron for $5 a month. I'm also going to be shooting some behind the scenes stuff here this evening, and maybe even get a little something shot while I'm over at Cecil's, just to kind of show you guys what I'm working on over there. So really excited to let you guys know my thoughts on Terrifier, and I'm excited to watch the sequel because this is a movie, or these are movies that I've heard so much about. I know they've got a massive fandom within the horror community, and I feel like I've talked so much about Terrifier before watching it, which is probably a disservice to the film. So I thought to myself, I can't keep on just saying that this looks like it's not a movie for me without just bucking up and watching the damn thing and finding out for myself, right? And just being fair about it all. Talking about what works for me and talking about what doesn't, right? Because all movies are going to have some good and some bad. And it's just about how far those scales dip either way. So, maybe from what you can see in the thumbnail there, you might think that I'm going to totally trash this movie. But yeah, sometimes with the thumbnail, you just got to put a little bait on that hook and make people want to watch, right? So I'm excited to let you guys know my thoughts on Terrifier, and of course, follow that up with some thoughts on Terrifier 2. So let me jump in here and see what you guys are chatting about. Let's see here. Ashton says he's excited for The Last Nightmare Part 1. I am as well. I think it looks better than the Haddonfield Nightmare, and the Haddonfield Nightmare looked pretty damn good. So it's always great to see artists grow and, see what they learn from the previous film and make sure that the next one's better. It's just like the videos here on the channel. I try to make each one better than the last. The performance is better than the last. And I see that at least in what the teaser showed us for The Last Nightmare Part 1. And it's awesome to see that, the crowdfunding went well for Braden and everybody. So, so it's cool to see, people get to fulfill their dreams and have more success as they continue on. Excited for Braden and Nick. Don't know Maxwell, but I'm sure his music is cool. Well, and that's the great thing too about these live shows, Raymond, is Late Night with the Davey is a great opportunity when I reach out to musicians or I reach out to somebody that maybe really isn't in the horror sphere. It's an awesome opportunity to expose what they're doing to a completely different audience, right? So I'm really excited as well to for Max to be able to show off what he does to you guys. I don't know how many of y'all are really big music fans, although I imagine like most people, there's some kind of music they like, right? I mean, music is just such a universal language, just like film and other art forms are. So really excited for you guys to get to check out Max as well and see what he does. Chunky Jordy says, are YouTube still taking down Halloween fan films? I think that was happening for a little bit. And then I believe, Braden took off the Haddonfield Nightmare, but then a few days later put it back up. So I don't know what happened, if it was like a music copyright thing. I didn't really catch up on all that. So I'm not quite sure. I'll have to dig in a little bit because, we were originally going to cover a Halloween fan film on one of my fan film Fridays. And like, literally the day that we were going to watch the film, it got taken off YouTube and we watched the Haddonfield Nightmare instead. Raymond said, I found all the YouTubers I watch by seeing them on other channels or in the chats. That's the way to go, man. I would imagine that's how you found me here. So exactly. And Mud says, what? I know Signals Midwest. Yeah. Cause you're out there. You're out there in Ohio as well, Gavin? I really like, so back in my musician days, guys, just to let you know, I think the first time I met Max was like 2014, 2015 at a house show. And the band I was in at the time, Danger Death Ray, we would book people from that were coming in from out of town. So I feel like I'm not sure if we booked Max at that house show that I met him at, but it was really cool because like he played an acoustic set in the house, and then there was like live bands in the garage after. So it was this really cool. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to house shows, but they're such a friggin' blast. Like, I adore house shows. I feel like it's kind of like this YouTube sort of vibe where everyone gets along so well. I've rarely seen house shows. I don't know if I've ever seen something nasty go down at a house show. Not saying that it hasn't, but in my experience, living in the Portland area, house shows were like really, everyone was really respectful and really wild. It was like kind of chaotic, but no one was getting hurt. So it was like, I love that atmosphere. And then we had helped book, Signals Midwest for other shows and stuff like that. So yeah, I've known Max, casually, like through that whole music kind of world for almost a decade now, going on a decade. So we haven't caught up in a while, and man, a whole bunch of stuff has happened in his life, and things are going really well for him and his music career. So it'll be awesome to catch up with him. And that's really cool that you're familiar. Any book readers in the chat? I just finished the second last How You Train Your Dragon book, and it's ironically like top 5 things I've ever seen or read. Yeah, Medley Man. I know I'm not the biggest reader. My wife Kate's a big reader. I'm not the biggest one. They put me to sleep, kind of. I know it's terrible to say. I do read like comic books and stuff like that. But I think maybe the next time she reads Harry Potter, maybe it would be fun if like I read them to her, so I can have that experience of reading those books, because she's read them like a few times each. So we'll see. Medley Man also says you should do a reaction cam of Terrifier 2. Oh, well, we'll see if you guys still want me to do that based on my review of the very first Terrifier. So we'll see. It better be a good review. Gavin loves his Terrifier. Yeah, we'll just see. I can't give away too much, guys. I want you to watch the review, right? So I don't want to lean in either way too much. Like I said, the thumbnail could be a red herring. You'd never know. So I'm excited to talk about all of that with you. Yeah, without the movie. Yeah, exactly, Medley Man. Maybe I'll do that and like just grab a couple screenshots and I can just like kind of share on social media. Like, here's my reaction of this scene from Terrifier 2, something like that. Raymond says the first one is good, but 2 is way better. And I feel like 3 is going to be awesome. Yeah, I hope that part 3 isn't 2.5 hours long, because very rarely do I ever want to watch a 2.5 hour long movie of any sort. So I'm a little apprehensive watching the Terrifier 2 because, yeah, 2.5 hours long or whatever, 2 hours, 18 minutes, something like that. But everyone has been telling me, Raymond, everyone says it has an actual story. It's so much better. So I'm looking forward to that. Terrifier 2 is better than the first 11 Friday the 13th movies. Wow. Wow, that's a statement right there. I'm not going to be hurt if you didn't like the first one, but T2 is where I really care. T2 Judgment Day? Just joking. Gavin, don't hunt him down if he doesn't like T2. Yeah, we'll see, guys. I'm curious to see how Terrifier 2 stacks up. Because I've been to the conventions. I've seen everyone with the Terrifier shirts. I know it's such a huge thing in horror right now. And we'll see if gosh, I guess we'll just see if I'm truly an old man that can't get with the new generation, or if I'm totally into it, or if I'm somewhere in the middle. Who knows? Jordan Moran says Braden has a cool hoodie design for the Haddonfield Nightmare, designed by Wolfman's Got Nards. That's awesome. I did not know that, Jordan. I'll have to check that out. I love Barry over at Wolfman's Got Nards. Thank you for letting me know. I'll have to check that out, because I know that Barry does, graphic design is like a big part of what he does. I saw he's even offering to do, thumbnails for hire, which is really cool. He has really stylistic, awesome looking thumbnails. My chunky Jordy says, I'm not watching any Terrifier films. I know for a fact I won't like it, as I can't stand mimes. The only clown I tolerate is Pennywise, after I had a real life run-in with a clown when I was 7. Yeah, clowns creep me out too, Jordy. Yeah, I think Art has got a really cool look. I think Art freaks the hell out of me, like absolutely. So I gotta, this isn't really a comment on the film too much, but it's like, I gotta give him credit, because Art is very creepy. to be creepy and scary to grown ass people is very difficult. And art definitely gives me the heebie-jeebies for sure. Yeah, the mime thing, I mean, I get it though, because most slasher killers are like silent anyway. So it's like to me, I think of him as just like a straight up clown and not really the mime thing. Because I compare him, even though you can compare him to Pennywise, of course. I compare him a little bit more to like Jason or Michael as far as like, slasher kind of thing goes. But it is true that Terrifier is not so much a slasher as it is like a splatter film. At least the first movie, because there's not really a plot. It's just like a skit. It's like a series of like skits that are kind of connected pretty much, but there's not a story. So I think of it as more splatter. It's got that 70s exploitation feel. Not so much does it give me like a slasher kind of feel. Because usually in slashers, there's tropes, there's traditional storytelling mechanisms, all that kind of stuff. I don't see any of that in the first Terrifier film. And we'll see if Terrifier 2 switches that up. It sounds like it does. Friday the 13th is pretty much Terrifier, but made to shock 80s people. Yeah, well, oh, I don't think I totally agree there, Medley Man, but that's all right. We don't have to agree on everything, right? Um, I just don't want to say too much because I don't want to like say a bunch of stuff that I'm going to end up saying in my review of Terrifier. But I do think that in the 80s, I think that now we're told that those movies were a bit more shocking than they really were when they were coming out. I don't think Friday the 13th movies were really that shocking when they came out. I think that's something that we're told 40 years down the line that they were shocking because there are a lot of like off-screen kills and you see like a moment where a body is revealed, but you don't see the actual kill. So I would say that, yeah, to me in a traditional slasher, you do see some of the kills. You don't see all of the kills. Some of the kills are really ratcheted up, like moments where you're like, "Oh my god." Um, and then some of them are a little more obscured by light or shadow or what have you. Whereas Terrifier is sort of like, here's everything, the camera's right on it, and we're just gonna show you everything of everything. Like nothing's gonna be really left to the imagination. Whereas in like Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, those traditional 80s slashers, I do see there's like some dynamics as far as like the way that the gore is represented. So that's something, and maybe it is an age thing or a generational thing, but I do like seeing um, dynamics. I like dynamics in art regardless. Like if I look at a painting, I don't want it to just be one color or two colors. Well, I guess it could be two colors, but I want it because two colors can contrast, right? So, or when I listen to music, like, or I listen to a record, right? I don't want every song to sound the same on the record. I want songs to kind of like maybe the first song busts right out of the gate. Maybe the second song takes it up a notch from there, and then maybe the third song pulls it back, and you've got this like up and down, like the way a story has peaks and valleys. Like I'm a huge Evil Dead fan. So Evil Dead is one of those movies where it's like, it goes from like screams and bloods and all that kind of stuff and, milk popping everywhere. And then right after those moments, complete silence. Like I love the ups and downs. So I'll get into more of that with the Terrifier review, but I definitely, just to push back a little bit on what you're saying about Friday the 13th. Yeah, I think that the slasher films of like the 80s and even the 90s, there's just some more dynamics with the gore. Hanging in the good real chats. That's how you found me. Yep. That's awesome. No Jersey, but their song West Side Summer used to be. Oh, yeah, Gavin, you're in Jersey. Yeah, West Side Summer used to be in my playlist way back. That's awesome, man. Another channel is making a fan film called Halloween Lives. I'll ask Braden as I'm sub to him. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm interested in all those fan films as long as they look pretty good, close to professional or professional. Um, there is like a certain kind of fan film where you're like, oh, you guys just aren't quite there yet. But we are on this awesome wave of people making great fan films and, putting out some products that look professional. Absolutely. Ashton says, I think Damien Leone confirmed Terrifier 3 won't be over 2 hours long. That would be awesome. Honestly, like, let's be real, everyone. A slasher doesn't need to be longer than 90 minutes, right? Like, if you can't tell your slasher story in 90 minutes, is it even a slasher story? Or are you doing something more elevated? I mean, I guess like Halloween 2018 is like an hour 40, and that's probably where I'd like that's like the peak length, you know. I don't want to see a slasher that's longer than that. I just think that it's like a punk rock song. Like, do I need um punk rock songs other than the Decline by No Effects, which is like a 20-minute song that's fucking awesome and like the greatest punk rock song of all time. For the most part, I don't want to hear like a 5-minute long punk song, right? I'm thinking like 2.5 to 3.5 minutes or shorter, you know, like, and I feel like slasher films kind of have that sort of punk rock feel where it's like it's a gritty group of people that like these movies. Maybe they're kind of as far as like the art they enjoy is sort of on the fringe. It's not so mainstream. And so I think like part and parcel with like a slasher movie, you know, the length of the first Terrifier, 84 minutes is an awesome length for a slasher movie. 85 to 100 minutes, that's all you need for a slasher. Just get me in, show me what I expect for the most part, throw some other surprises my way, and get out. And make another, if that's successful, make another movie instead of doing a 2.5 hour movie. So yeah, I hope you're right there. Terrifier 2 is actually pretty on par with Friday 4, 5, 6, and Halloween 2. All right. Well, that's awesome news for me. Um, Jordan says, apologies. I should have said had. Unsure if they still have it as it was pre-production campaign. Gotcha. Well, hopefully they make those available. Yeah. Raymond says Terrifier 2 is 2 hours 20, but it goes by fast. Okay. All right. Cool. That's really good to hear. That makes me feel so much better about watching Terrifier 2. Do you quit watching a movie if you find it bad? Asked Raymond. I've only done that once and I found out it's getting a sequel. I've done it a couple times, Raymond. I made it about 15 minutes into the RoboCop remake and was like, nope, not going to do it. I'd rather just watch the original RoboCop again. And the first time I tried to watch the A Nightmare on Elm Street remake, I turned it off about 15 minutes in as well. But I actually made myself watch it. I watched it with Kate for my A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise ranking. So yeah, I've never walked out of a movie in the theater because once you pay that ticket, you might as well at least sit and be there for the ride. But yeah, there have been times when I've started watching a movie at home and just been like, nope, not gonna do it. To do a little George Bush Sr. Gavin says, I think he plans on doing 4 Terrifier movies so he can make them a bit shorter. Yeah, you know, just make it digestible, you know. That's what I say. Terrifier does try and do something crazy, by the way. It's not a normal slasher. Yeah, that's why I think it's more of a splatter movie and not like a traditional slasher for sure. We'll see though. Maybe Terrifier 2 is more of a slasher than the first one. The first one for sure is a splatter film. Yeah. Um, I don't know if it should be 2 hours. It shouldn't be 2 hours. Never, never. Yeah. Never should a horror movie really, or a slasher movie, be 2 hours long. If you're going to do like a slow burn or a haunted house movie or something like that, you can get away with 2 hours for sure. And then guys, I wanted to show you really quick here. We got some news. My Bloody Valentine is picked up by Blumhouse. So like it or not, we're getting a return to Valentine Bluffs. Well, hopefully it's a return to Valentine Bluffs. And I want to know your guys' thoughts, not just on, I know everyone has the way they feel about Blumhouse. It varies from person to person. Real quick, I'll let you guys know how I feel about Blumhouse. I think that Blumhouse handles franchises that pre-exist better than they handle their like one-off original movies. Yeah, say what you want about the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. I really enjoy all 3 of those films. And I know that maybe I'm in the minority there, but I'll say this, even if there are plot elements that don't work for me or could have worked for me better if things were done differently, all of those movies look great. For the most part, the acting is exceptional. And the music, I think John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies did the best music we've ever heard in the Halloween franchise. And that wouldn't have been possible without Blumhouse. Like Blumhouse, you know, they're big financiers there. They have to make it make sense for Malik. They're gathering those rights and making sure that they're doing something for the fans as well. And I think that they succeeded in that. Now, I have not seen Exorcist Believer, and I know people feel like not too good about Exorcist Believer, but everything I saw from the trailers and all that, I'm like, again, the film looks well made, competently shot. It doesn't look like something like Night Swim or Imaginary that just look like run of the mill, churn them out kind of movies that are probably cheaper, and maybe a little bit easier to turn a profit. I'm not sure. But I'm going to be hopeful and positive about My Bloody Valentine until I hear otherwise. And the reason why is because I really enjoy the original film. I think that it's a shame that it didn't get a sequel in the 80s. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the first film, Axel lives at the end, but he loses an arm. So at the end of the last we see of Axel, he's running deeper into the caverns of the cave the caverns of the mine, and he's missing his arm. And I'm like, man, what an opportunity for them to have done a sequel, and the who done it aspect is gone, right? Kind of like what they can end up doing with Thanksgiving 2, where you can bring back John Carver. We already know who he is from the who done it of the first movie, but you bring back that same person to be John Carver, and the second movie has a potential to be a totally different thing, kind of like what we were talking about with Alien and Aliens, right? So it's like Thanksgiving 2, hopefully, is a totally different kind of slasher that's a little bit more like a Friday the 13th or Halloween, because we already know who the killer is. So that mystery aspect is gone, but the revenge is still there. And the slasher is still there. And I think they really could have done something awesome in the 80s with My Bloody Valentine. However, it never happened. I think the remake from '09 is okay, but definitely not as good as the original. I can see why it didn't spawn a sequel in and of itself. So I think that Blumhouse is going to go back and remake My Bloody Valentine. And if I could, get their ears for a moment and pitch my little idea, I would just say, put this movie in the 80s or put it in the 90s. And, if you're going to remake it, put it back in that time. And let's do like a true follow-up. Like let's make it to where we can kind of right the wrong that happened with the original, and we can actually have that villain carry through to another movie with kind of a cliffhanger ending or something like that. Now, if they really wanted to take a crazy chance, they would just do a sequel to the original and set it in like 1985 and have it be Axel. But everyone in the audience would be completely lost to have some one-armed minor character come back, having never seen the first movie, which I'd imagine like most people who are going to watch this Blumhouse version of My Bloody Valentine, they probably haven't seen the original, or maybe they won't have watched it until they've seen the newer version. So I want to see what you guys are saying here in the chat about My Bloody Valentine. I know everyone feels their own way as far as Blumhouse goes. So Gene says, did they really think when they made Friday the 13th the final chapter that would be it? I don't know. I think that Paramount was probably yeah, I don't know. Because it's going to make a bunch of money. They're going to make another one. They probably just wanted to bait it, just like how I bait you to watch the Terrifier review with my look of questioning on the thumbnail. So you want to know whoa, what is he going to say about Terrifier? So I think like with the final chapter, it's just bait on a hook. Medley Man says, I just noticed recently in Friday the 13th part 5, instead of the sound effect being key 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 ma ma ma, it's key 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 fa fa fa, because Roy the killer is the father. Oh, I never noticed that, Medley Man. I am gonna have to rewatch that film and keep an ear out for that, right? Because the effect they put on that key 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 ma ma ma, like as time goes on in those movies, it's tougher to like hear the individual letters. So yeah, I gotta check that out. Key 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 fa fa fa. That's a good observation there. I'm gonna watch it and see if I can confirm. But until then, I'm gonna trust that you're absolutely telling me the truth there. Gavin says, I don't want them touching this movie, but it's out of my control. So whatevs. Yeah, ultimately, that's a good attitude to have, Gavin. And you don't have to watch it, right? Unless the trailer comes out and makes you feel differently than you feel right now. Absolutely. I do think that, the minor killer is such a great iconic look. It's a damn shame it didn't get turned into a franchise, which is what I said in my review this past Valentine's season. I reviewed both my Bloody Valentine movies and the movie Valentine from 2001. Yuck. But in my review for the original My Bloody Valentine, I pretty much, was just, it's a damn shame that they didn't keep this killer going, because what a great look he's got, such an awesome, freaky, scary look, Raymond says, I almost walked out of the Psycho remake. I watched a movie called Exorcist Shark, made it 2 minutes in and 2 lines went nope. Yeah, Exorcist Shark sounds like it's just there to sort of be like Sharknado and you're supposed to get a laugh out of it. So if you're not in the mood for that, I totally see turning that off. The Psycho remake is not too good. I think I saw that in the theater. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I didn't like Exorcist Believer at all. That's I think how most people felt, Ashton. Yeah, I don't know if I'll watch it because for me, it's like I like the first Exorcist movie. It's been a long time since I've seen the third one. I probably need to revisit that because that movie gets so much love. But I'm not the biggest, like, as far as like Exorcist goes as a franchise, I think it's really weak. So I don't even like, to me, the trailer for Exorcist Believer didn't look very interesting. I don't know what it is. I like demonic possession movies and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I really like the religious demonic possession movies as much. I don't know. Yeah. I watched Night Swim yesterday and actually liked it for the most part. There were parts I didn't like. Yeah, I heard it just turns into like the classic, like, oh, the father gets possessed by the evil entity in the last act of the movie, which is just that kind of like Amityville horror and Insidious. Just so it's like, been done to death. Ashton says, I'm one of the weird ones that likes the My Bloody Valentine remake more than the OG. Interesting, Ashton. Why? I'm just curious to know why. I mean, there are certain things about it that look really good and all that. Jensen Ackles just doesn't do much for me, I think, as a performer. But yeah, I mean, the original is like, it's corny and cheesy and all that stuff. There's something though about those 80s movies to me that just have a little more charm than the 2000s movies. And I think if I remember correctly, the My Bloody Valentine remake just looked so slick and kind of flat, like a TV show almost. I like the remake of My Bloody Valentine more than the OG. So, all right, Raymond and Ashton like the remake more. Yeah, more power to you guys. I love hearing that. Isn't the Psycho remake just the same movie beat for beat, but there's an added? Pretty much. It's not like that was all of the marketing said that it was like a shot-for-shot remake, but it's not a shot-for-shot remake. It's, for the most part, it is. But yeah, Gus Van Sant veers away from the original material. And yeah, he spanks it while he's watching What's Her Face in the shower. You just hear it. It's comical and bad. Always found the OG kind of boring. I think that's totally fair. Ashton. I wonder if it's just like as an 82 baby, maybe I've just got a little more of a nostalgia looking back on those films from the 80s, and they've got that charm, So I don't think the remake is bad by any measure. I think it very well could have gotten a remake or a sequel, sorry, but maybe it just didn't really hit the box office too hard there. Raymond says, I'm in the minority that liked Exorcist Believer and said so in my Letterboxd review. I've heard some folks out there say that they liked it. Yeah. Love the OG more and more over the years. The kills are awesome. Yeah, I think the OG is just a really fun time. It encapsulates that like wild zaniness and the antics of the 80s so damn well. So yeah, let me just make sure I'm not missing anything else, guys. I'm gonna jump back over here. I think that was the last topic of discussion that I had for everyone. So yeah, I don't think we're missing anything else here. Of course, I kind of went over it last week, guys. I don't need to go into it too much here today, but we do have a spring shop set up. So if you want to check out some merch for all of the main shows on the channel, there's Movie Punks merch, there's Late Night with the Davey merch, and Movie Date with Davey and Kate merch. Let me know, guys, if you want me to hop on over to the shop and show some of those items off. I think I showed them off last week and you guys were all in the chat, so I don't want to, beat a dead horse on that, but just want to let you guys know if you do want to support the channel beyond just liking and subscribing, which is awesome and so much appreciated, you can check out those links below for the Patreon and for our merch shop. And of course, like I've been saying the last couple times I've talked about it, let me know if you guys buy something from the shop. I just want to know what the quality is like. I want to make sure that you guys are getting good quality items. We've got a coupon going through June 15th for 10% off. So if you just put in early bird when you check out, you get 10% off. And I knocked down the prices even on top of that. Spring is like, hey, you can make $7 on this sweatshirt if you sell it for this much. And I'm like, well, I'm okay making $4 on a sweatshirt and charging like 4 or 5 bucks less because I'd rather see you guys have the items and be able to represent the channel and represent the shows you like than just trying to squeeze every little bit of money I can out of that. To me, I mean, the channel would have to be wildly successful for me to be able to do it as a full-time job. So really the way that I look at it is every bit of money that I get from Patreon and every bit of money that I get from the merch shop is just going to go back into the channel. I've invested a bunch of my own money into getting gear for the channel and all that kind of stuff. Even buying stuff like this. Like I purchased this Chucky box set so I could review Bride of Chucky for Antonis on for his Patreon request. So the little things that I purchase here and there come out of my own pocket, and it would be great to just kind of offset a little bit of that. So just want you guys to know every bit of support, financial support that you give the channel is going right back into the channel. It's not so Kate and I can go hang out at a lavish hotel room or anything like that, which would be really fun. Don't get me wrong. That would be great, but we're a ways away from, being able to do that. And certainly I'll have to earn way more subs and earn your guys' trust continually as we go on here. So yeah, guys, I think now is like a pretty good time to sort of start wrapping this one up. I think we covered everything. I don't think there's anything else that I've got to bring up here. Really looking forward to June and everything that it's going to bring within the next like week or two on a Sunday stream. We'll be talking about how I'm going to be going over to Matt Facci's channel, Facci Cinema, and watching The Prowler with him. The Prowler is my favorite one-off slasher film of all time. I'm sure you guys that are fans of the OG My Bloody Valentine, I would be surprised if you're not fans of The Prowler because I feel like not only did the movies come out like months apart in 1981, but I feel like there's like similar vibes there, that revenge whodunit killer, somebody that's been wronged or trying to get back, at a town essentially for celebrating something that's very hurtful to them. So both of those movies have that in line. And man, The Prowler with Joseph Zito directing and with Tom Savini doing effects. I mean, what a fun movie. I'm probably going to rewatch it this weekend or maybe next week. So that way, when I watch it with Matt, I've already revisited it, around the same time. So that way, as we're watching the movie, I'll have a bit more to say. And I want to make sure that this one's, interesting and entertaining for you guys. So yeah, I am going to wrap it up here, guys. So make sure to go over to Sledgehammer Horror and check out my first horror movie. I talk Halloween 2 and punk rock on that episode. Coming up this week, I've got the Real Talk with Brett and Brad from Good Real Hunting. So keep an eye out for that one. I'll share that on my social medias when it's available. And then what do we got? On Tuesday, I'll be going live on Sledgehammer Horror, talking about the top kills in the Final Destination franchise. That's going to be awesome. Keep an eye out for my Scream franchise ranking. Hey, I actually said it the right way that time. And of course, my review for Terrifier, and probably the week after, my review for Terrifier 2. So really excited to share that all with you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with me on this beautiful Memorial Day Sunday. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. I hope you have an awesome Memorial Day. How cool is it that the weekend's not quite over? Except for Gavin. I'm sorry, Gavin, but for most others, the weekend is not quite over. So really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let's see here. Medley Man says Bride is my answer for best Child's Play movie. Hey, it's I think it's one of the best too, and I'll be dropping my Child's Play ranking in June, sometime in June. So you'll see where that lands for me as well. Medley Man says that's actually very convenient timing to end the stream for me. I'm going on a road trip to the Manitoba Snake Pits. All right. That sounds like fun. Hell yeah. Road trips are great. Everyone's saying bye. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for the love here. Love you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend, of course. And we'll see you next time around. So until that comes, I've been and will continue to be Davey Deathray. Take care.